What's going on, guys? I wanted to run through a few things since our GIF stuff is so brand new. We've transitioned from the flip books where you're flipping them from the camera to making a more digital copy on Google Slides animations. But I'm realizing that there are some things we probably need to go into and give you some refreshers on as you are making your GIFs. Okay, so first thing is when you are putting something into your slides. All right, so let's say I'm gonna use the bad example here. Let's say I wanted to put a soccer ball into my slides. If I go and just pick any soccer ball from what's on Google image search, I pick the first thing and I copy the image and I put it into my slides. Control V or paste. There we go. Puts it in our slides. It looks, because there's a white background here, it looks like the soccer ball has a clear background, but it doesn't, right? So if you look at the background in the slide, we can turn it a different color. You'll see that the soccer ball is actually a square image. So when you move it on things, it sits on top of them. So anything that's going to be underneath this corner here is going to be covered up. So if you want to have an image that is clear, you want to do what's called a PNG image search. Okay, so listen carefully, because even though you put PNG in, sometimes you can still make some mistakes. So there are some tips to figuring out which PNGs are good. Like right down here, I can tell right away this is not going to be a PNG that you want to use. If you use this, it's got the checkered background that makes you think it's a clear image, but for some reason, the person made it like this. So this is a bad example. Let's take this thing that says it's a PNG, let's copy it, let's put it into my slides. Okay, so you'll notice it actually just is still a square image, and it's got the checkered background that makes you think it's clear, but it is not. You can see it's covering up the thing behind it. So what you want to pick on PNG, you pick a soccer ball PNG, you want something that looks like it has a white background, but when you click on it, the white background turns checkered like this. So it looks white, and then when it fully loads, it takes that white background off. That indicates that this is a true PNG that when you put it into your slides, will have a clear background. Copy. Let me put it in here, and you'll see. There you go. And you'll notice the background of this ball is clear. You can see the image behind it that it's on top of. Which also brings up my next point. Think of your slide as having layers. So every time you put something down, that's a new layer to your slide. So the first layer would have been the circle, where you're adding all of your stuff to animate. The second layer would be this guy, and it's below everything. The third layer would be this guy, it's the third image I added in. And the fourth layer would be this guy. Now sometimes you'll have something get stuck under a previous picture or letter or something like this right here. So if you're trying to bring this one on top of something else because it's stuck below it, you want to move it to a higher level. You want to move it up in the layers. So you right click on it and you're going to go to order, and you want to either bring it forward if you just want to bring it up a layer, or if you're going to bring it all the way to the top of the layers, you're going to go to order, bring it all the way to the front. And now that object is at the front of all the layers. So I know some people were trying to put stuff in there and they're like, why isn't this image showing up on top of that one? I can't get it on top. Well, what you're trying to do is you're trying to take something that is at a lower level, a lower layer, and you're trying to move it on top of something else. So once again, the way you do that is you right click it, you go to order. If you want it all the way to the front, you can say bring to front. If you just want it in between some layers, you can send it backwards and forwards, up and down through the layers. Okay. Okay, so this next thing that I want to talk about is something I discussed in the previous video, but I'm not sure we took it to heart, so I want to make sure that it sinks in now. You can see here on this bad example, I have animated my name, which is cool. But remember, we're trying to animate 3 things. 2 of them should be about you, but at least 3 things animated. I would go more than that, but at least 3. The problem with doing them one at a time, like me putting my name on here and doing it like this, is now if I want to put in my second thing to animate, let's say I want to put in an airplane, I have to go back to the very top to where I want to animate it, and I have to add it into every single slide. Okay, so let's say I want to add my airplane. So I'm going to open up an image search. Look for an airplane PNG and go to images. And this one looks like it'll work because it's got a white background. We'll see if it goes checkered. It does. So this is a true PNG. We're going to copy it. We're going to put it into my slides. Cool. Remember, I always put them off to the side so they fly into this circular space where we're going to have our GIF, right? Remember, we're trying to make our profile GIFs for Google. So everything that we're animating is going to fit inside this circle. Now the problem is, when I want this airplane to fly in, I have to take this airplane and copy it and paste it into every single slide, and I've got to do it at the right spot, right? So it just happens to paste it right here, but let's say just for a second that I wanted the airplane to fly from the top here and fly in. Well, now in the next one, when I paste it in, it's going to put it down here, and I got to get it to just the right spot to where I want it to go, and I have to go back and forth between slides. So it looks like in between slides as I move back and forth, they're not in the right spot. In fact, it's going backwards. So I move this one over a little bit. Let's check it again. And it's, again, a little bit off. So you have to, on every single slide, add the picture in at the right spot and then animate it. And you have to have a minimum of 24 slides. That's a huge chore. So that's why I said make sure that when you're animating, let's go to the good example. On my first slide, I have everything that I want to animate on there. So I've got my name, I have the tower garden, I have my picture, and I have my drone. And when I go through it, each slide, each one of them moves a little bit. So if you don't do that in step one, like I said, let's go to a bad example. If you don't do that, you're going to have to add those pictures in. Remember, that's just one. Let's add in. All right, so okay, so I've got to put that in every slide. But remember, don't forget, I also got to put in the airplane, the right spot. So it gets difficult if you don't do your planning on the first slide. So you got to add all your stuff in. You got to do that for at least 24 slides, right? So start off on your first slide with everything that you're going to animate on there. And then when you copy it, so we'll Control-C or copy, Control-V, and paste. When I add a new slide in there, everything's in the right place, and all I have to do is make a small movement to each one. Right? So it's a lot faster if you do the planning at the beginning and not at the end or doing it on the fly.